May 2nd, 2022. Real Madrid was losing 1-0 to Manchester City in the second leg of the Champions League semi-final. After losing 4-3 in a thriller of a match in the first leg, the kings of the competition were 1 minute away from falling short in the semi-final for the second year straight. Time was running out. Hopes were fading away. It was over for Real Madrid. That's what we all thought, right? There was someone who didn't. Subbed on just 20 minutes prior to this moment, one certain Brazilian came to turn this game upside down. Rodrygo was a crucial piece in Real Madrid's run to win the Champions League and their overall success that year. But that shouldn't be a surprise, because he has always been crucial. Let's look at the players with the most goals for Real Madrid since 2019. From legends to failed transfers, players with 14 games like James Rodriguez to players with 300 games such as Luka Modric, we find Rodrygo in third place, only behind Vini Jr. and Benzema. So how does a player this impactful over 5 seasons at the highest level, a 2-time Champions League winner and a pivotal piece of Real Madrid's success, suddenly look like a shell of himself? But before we make that question, did he in fact become a shell of himself, or did he succumb to the inevitable effects of the arrival of new stars and the lack of opportunities in the new squad? When Rodrygo signed for Real Madrid in 2019, he wasn't just another transfer. He was part of a bigger project, the new wave of Brazilian wonderkids. Alongside Vinicius Jr., he was meant to carry the club into the future. And while some never made it past the wonderkid label, Rodrygo wasted no time making an impact. At just 18 years old, he scored a perfect hat-trick in the Champions League against Galatasaray, becoming the youngest to do so at the time. A few months later, another big goal against Inter Milan, and just like that, he was starting to be seen. Because that's who Rodrygo was. He might not have been the flashiest, the most explosive, or the loudest star on the pitch, but when Madrid needed him the most, he delivered. While Vinicius grew into the superstar and face of the team, Rodrygo became the silent killer, a player who thrived in the shadows but always found a way to make the difference when it mattered. And then came the night that would define him, that second leg against Manchester City. Just minutes away from elimination, one goal to give Madrid hope, then another one just a minute later to complete the impossible. That's when people realized Rodrygo was no longer just a promising kid. He was the man who pulled a miracle to put Madrid in the final. He was real. But that wasn't even his first clutch moment. One round earlier, in the quarterfinals against Chelsea that same year, Madrid was minutes away from proving their own medicine and getting knocked out with a remontada from the defending champions at the moment. Their hero? A 21-year-old Rodrygo with a banger to put them back in the game. A year later, in the quarterfinals, 2 more goals against Chelsea. The signs were always there. The guy was destined to succeed. But unfortunately, football doesn't stop, and a big change was about to hit Madrid. In the summer of 2023, Karim Benzema, the leader of Madrid's attack, left the club. Suddenly, there was a void. And who would step up? The answer seemed obvious, Vinicius and Rodrygo. But there was a problem. Rodrygo was never a pure striker. He isn't the type of player who sits inside the box waiting for chances. He's a connector, someone who thrives with freedom and space, not as a fixed number 9. And while Madrid demanded a high volume of goals, Rodrygo's best qualities were always something different. And then came the bombshells. Jude Bellingham arrived and instantly became Madrid's main attacker. Just days later, Joselu was confirmed to join the club on loan. Those additions were positive for Real Madrid. I mean, look at the results. They won La Liga, the Spanish Super Cup, and the Champions League for the 15th time. But Real Madrid had a problem. An obsession for someone. Someone they had been chasing for a long time. And right when Madrid didn't need him, he stopped running away. 2024 arrived, and with 2024 arrived Kylian Mbappe, the new face of Real Madrid. And just like that, the squad was stacked, The hype was off the charts. They had the best starting 11 in the world, but they lied to us. Last season was a disaster for Real Madrid. Knocked out of every competition they played, 2 of them by Barcelona, the best Barca squad since Messi left Spain. They got dominated in the Champions League by a club known for finishing second. It was bad, and this is coming from a Real Madrid fan. The team that had won the Champions League the year before didn't exist anymore. Now we had Vinicius, Mbappe, Bellingham, and Rodrygo. Then you still had Endrick on the bench. I mean, how do you manage this? Too many wannabe stars, too many Batmans, and no one willing to be the Robin. So someone had to be forced into becoming one. And the victim was Rodrygo. And you can see it on the pitch. This season, Rodrygo has struggled to find rhythm. His goals are down, his confidence looks shaky, his minutes have shrinked. For a player who was once untouchable in big games, suddenly he felt replaceable. And when that happens at Real Madrid, the rumors begin. From the future of the club to a transferable asset. But here's the question. Did Rodrygo actually decline? Or is it simply perception? What you're seeing right now are Rodrygo's numbers in the last 5 years. From the outside, it may look like a downfall, but the reality isn't that linear. His production has stayed relatively consistent. In fact, last season his stats were almost identical to his Champions League winning season, despite playing nearly 300 minutes less. But goals and assists don't tell the whole story. If we look at his overall rating in the last 5 seasons, we realize that Rodrygo isn't declining at all. He is getting better every year, and last year was not an exception. He's rising, or at least he was, until this season. What changed wasn't Rodrygo himself, but the environment around him. And this season, another change happened. Carlo Ancelotti stepped down and Xabi Alonso took over. But this isn't just a change of coaches. It never is. Changing coaches means a whole new philosophy is going to be applied into the club. And so far, Xabi's philosophy doesn't seem to include Rodrygo in the plans. In the Club World Cup, he played a total of 100 minutes in 3 games. And as I'm making this video, he has only played 600 minutes out of 20 games. That's an average of only 30 minutes per game. So, if things stay like this, Rodrygo has 2 options. 1, he stays. He adapts and reinvents himself to fight for a place. Maybe he proves once again that when Madrid needs him the most, he's there. Or he leaves and becomes the star elsewhere, the main man at a club where he doesn't need to fight for touches or wait his turn behind global icons. A place where Rodrygo isn't just part of the system, he is the system. Because let's be honest, there are clubs in Europe right now that would kill for a player like him, and Real Madrid is taking him for granted. But whether he stays or goes, we cannot forget the story already written. The Champions League nights, the bangers, the clutch moments that define entire title runs. Rodrygo may not be the loudest star, he may not be the one who steals every headline, but he has already proven that in football's biggest moments, he delivers.